Isolationism has always been a part of America's past and embodies traditional ideals and American self-sufficiency. This ideology centered on the desire for the United States to be removed from the conflicts that could pollute the clean image of American republicanism. It has been an ideology since the inception of the nation and can trace its founding to the American Revolution. The first major government policy following the principles of isolationism was the Monroe Doctrine's statement of separate spheres of influence. This doctrine was the proposal that the United States was separate from the rest of the world and that it would only interfere in international affairs in regard to the Western Hemisphere. The doctrine emphasized American disapproval of the European Old World and the conflicts that constantly plagued it. Isolationists used the ideas of spheres of influence as a way in which to focus solely on American development and prosperity rather than international global improvement and imperialism. With the exception to American interference in the First World War, the United States resolved to remain in isolation from Europe when not provoked and viewed Europe as a place of decaying values. Before United States entrance to the Second World War, isolationist organizations such as America First Committee advocated U.S. disentanglement from European affairs. They advocated that only American lives mattered and that the European conflict should stay localized to Europe. With the attack on American territory, the isolationists quickly acquiesced to full American involvement. They lamented the start of the war, but saw it as necessary to maintain American integrity. However, with the end of the Second World War, the isolationists believed that they could return to the traditional isolationist policies of their forefathers and return to the prosperity enjoyed during America's previous isolationism that went back to the decades before the Second World War. The government, however, entered into interventionist policies with the advent of the United Nations, Marshall Plan, and the Declaration of the Truman Doctrine. These all led isolationists to realize that the traditions of America could not be returned and instead pursued anti-interventionist policies in order to protect national sovereignty and wealth. They believed that the government should halt policies in Europe and instead should turn to assisting Asian recovery due to the belief that Europe was stepping towards communism already with the creation of socialist government. They advocated halting Soviet aims in Asia, especially after the fall of China to communism. This, they believed, would lead to a destabilizing force that would cause all of Europe and Asia to fall to communism. They believed strongly in the ideas of a domino theory and advocated swift checks on communist aggression, which resulted in American involvement in the Korean War. With the war's outcome, however, isolationists believed that the American war effort was handicapped by a UN coalition force and believed that America would not have lost the war if not for UN interference. This led isolationists to advocate for the withdrawal from the UN and the reduction in executive powers, which they saw as declaring war in Korea without congressional consent. They believed that the UN was one of the sole reasons for United States' defeat in Korea. This led isolationists to advocate a policy of Fortress America. This policy was meant to withdraw the United States from all foreign alliances and entanglements and devote itself to the defense of its own nation from communism. With this, they advocated policies of nuclear arsenals as the deterrent for war, and believed that with a large enough nuclear arsenal, the United States would be free from foreign aggression, and believed that the nuclear weapon was their way to defend the nation and its stain from international politics. In all of this outcry, isolationist Senator John William Bricker proposed an amendment to the Constitution which would seek to eliminate foreign institutions upon American soil and would limit the president's executive power, so that all decisions would be required to go through Congress in order to be enacted in domestic politics. This was meant to halt foreign policies seen as infringing upon American liberties and would serve to eliminate any authority the United Nations possessed within the United States. The amendment, however, failed to be passed by one vote in February 1954. This would signal the final time in which isolationists would be able to amass a national political movement and can be seen as the last instance in which the movement attempted to curtail government power and protect American sovereignty in order to return the United States to the prosperous past of their isolationist forefathers.